Hello there, this is Daz B, otherwise known as FM Totality on YouTube and Twitter, and I'm here today just to give you a little introduction to the FM editor, FM 2018 editor, although previous versions are very similar, there's hardly any changes. Just because I'm new to it myself, actually. I've played FM for a number of years, like a lot of people. I've messed around with the editor in the past, but I've just dived into it this year, not long ago, and I just really enjoyed it, and I've made what I consider to be a really good English mini league with it. Just sat down, probably took me a couple of weeks to do it in reality. Just sat down and restructured a whole mini league with 8 leagues of 8 teams, drawn from the conference right the way up to the Premier League, with all sorts of trophies as well. It's about 6 trophies throughout the season. You can view that series, and we're doing it with Morecambe at the moment, on my YouTube channel. There's a full series. The Fantastic English Mini Leagues. First season fantastic, second season a bit trickier, but have a crack at that if you fancy the sound of that. Now, it was a relief, I must say, when it all worked. When I'd been through a full season and it worked and none of the competitions clashed or crashed or anything like that. But there is something in here that does pretty much guarantee that, and that is rule testing. When we test rules, we're not going to worry about that now, because I say this is just an intro, but just to show you really how good this thing can be, how thorough it can be. So let me say, if you're just coming into this first time, it can be quite daunting. I mean, it just looks like a database, doesn't it, really? But it really is quite simple. You've got the usual menus: file for file operations. You've got nation rules, we'll come to that in a second. You've got edit, which is more advanced stuff, removing loans, etc. It's self-explanatory. You've got challenges, of course, if you want to put yourself a new challenge in and set the parameters. I've never actually worked with those, I've had a look at them though. And then you've got settings, of course, which is all your usual stuff, such as the units and things like this. So, right, let's get started. So as soon as you open it up, you just get these 4. If you put in things like nation rules, this will be added to. You'll have something that says nation rules. But basically, yeah, you got the 4 operations. You got a little description there about what it does. It's basically just an about thing. You've got database changes, which is a record of the changes you made to the database, and you've got test competitions, which we don't really work with. Test rules tends to work. It's more if you're doing. I found it's more if you're doing advanced rules, and you've got database. We're going to start with this one, database. So what you've got to imagine, right, is there's 2 layers to this game. There is a foundation, if you like, which is the database. So that's all the players' names, all the clubs, all the continents, all the awards, as you can see. Everything's got relationships, languages, nations. It's got absolutely everything, even stadiums. So if you wanted to get into your advanced editing of doing stadiums and stuff like that, this is where you're going to go. So yeah, this is, like I say, this is the foundation. And what you're going to do, that's the basic Football Manager 2018 foundation put in by SI. Now what you can do is you can tweak that, you can colour that to match your needs. So let's just say, for example, if we wanted to play around with a player, just so I made a George Best player to put in for a United experiment, and this is exactly how I did it. So you can go here, you can go to people, and we can just, first of all, I can just get you to alter a player. It's really easy. So if you just go for, let me have a look, Ronaldo. So you're getting anybody that's got Ronaldo in their name. Now this doesn't exclude, I don't filter them down to players or whether they are a manager or even a chairman, you can see in this case. So we do need to do some work to get it down to players. So what we need to go to now is person type. There we go, there's person type. And of course it now says player. Now it will not automatically refresh, so you will have to press it again. So I've reduced it now, and surprisingly there's a lot of players called Ronaldo. Okay, now I don't know why Theo Robinson is called Ronaldo, but we can double click him and find out. There we go, it's because his middle name is Ronaldo. So did you notice what I did there? So I double clicked it, and straight away it's like if you just imagine going into a card system like any database. That's what you've done. You've basically, when you're double clicking, you're flicking through the cards, you're pulling that card out, and you're having a look what it says inside it. So you're drilling it down. So okay, let's carry on working with Ronaldo then. Well, we know that he plays for Real, doesn't he? So does it have team on here? Club, yeah, there we go. Contains, we can just try put in Madrid. And there we go, that's got it, because of course you might have to be more specific with other players. But you can see we've got Ronaldo now. You can see he's on 603,119. He's 32. He's a player for the Spanish First Division, full-time portrait. Everything we already know. Don't worry about this. The unique ID is much more for advanced editing. So there we go. So now you get the choice. So like I said, you've now opened the card for Ronaldo, and you can pick that card out. And if you wanted to cross something out and change it and put the card back in the index, you can do. So let's have a look with Ronaldo. So if we wanted to, I mean, this basic stuff, you can start straight at the top. So if you just wanted to call him his second name, Bob, for whatever reason, you can do that. And here's the best thing about this editor: you don't need to save it. So once you just click off and go to any of the other sections, then he's there. He's still called Bob. I will make sure that I change this afterwards. You can change, of course, his ethnicity. Basically anything to do with him. You can change his age, of course. You can make him 17 again. In fact, let's do that. So let's make him, he was now born in 2000. So we're going to do that. And then when we go back to the database, it will show that he is now 17 years old. It's just that easy. It is so easy. So if you wanted to play with a 17-year-old Ronaldo at Real Madrid, you would just now go to File, Save Editor Data As, and you would, for example, go like this: Ronaldo 17 at Real. And you can even publish it to the Steam Workshop from here. So you know, just a little bit of fun if anybody wanted to play with a 17-year-old Ronaldo at Real, you can do that, and it's just that easy. That's basically it. So if you ever wanted to edit a player, you can do that. You can, of course, do it. I'm not sure if you can do the age, but you can kind of alter some of the attributes in the in-game editor, but it's less versatile. You can't do any of the hidden attributes, and that's what we're going to have a look at next. I'm not going to really save that because I'm not really bothered about that. So let's look at hidden attributes then. So if we double click on Ronaldo, we can go to person data attributes. So you have things that don't appear in the game attribute menu. So you've got things like sportsmanship. He's only got 7 because he's a petulant bugger, isn't he? And he's awkward, you know, and so on. Maybe it's not that. Yeah, I suppose it's right, really. He does complain if you don't get the ball and stuff like that, and he misses chances, doesn't he? You see his adaptability, of course. He's 18, he's very versatile. His ambition, yeah, 20, should be 30, shouldn't it, for Ronaldo? These are all only out of 20, by the way. And you can see these are what we call the hidden attributes, which allow him to, these are the sort of core underneath any player. So for example, when I ran my George Best experiment, the first test I did before I actually run it, I'd forgotten to change his ambition. And of course, because he's a newly created player, I think it was on 0, and I changed it to something like 7 or 8. I did change it, sorry, but it was very low. I'd made a mistake, and he just didn't progress. There's just nothing happened because he wasn't asked. He probably wasn't turning up for late for training and stuff like this. So, but as we know, if anybody knows the story of George Best, he was very ambitious. He might have been, unfortunately, an alcoholic, and that ruined his career in the end, but that had nothing to do with ambition. He used to stay behind at training. He deliberately played with his left foot. He would only put a boot on his left foot so he could play on with that. So he's very, very ambitious. So I changed it to 20, and sure enough, his development shot up. So so that's what you're talking about. This is, for me, if you're creating a player, this is key, especially if you're doing a young player. This is where you're going with it. So you can do other things as well. Let's just move on. Of course, you can do retirements. You can put the date that you want him to retire. So we could put that Ronaldo's retiring next week, and if I then went into the game and loaded it up, he would retire straight away. So it's pretty good, really. You can also put alter his history. You can alter his relationship. So George Best, I put him with his favourite people was one of them was, of course, Alex Ferguson, because he was around when Alex Ferguson was still manager. He wasn't playing then, of course, but he was a big part of the club. You've got non-playing history. You've got all sorts you can do there. You can also do other things as well. Let's go back to the database. So you can see now that we've got Ronaldo here. You can also duplicate Ronaldo. Now it won't produce it in that database you've just been in, unless you go back and do another search, and he will appear. But you can at the moment, you can just, again, you're in his card system. For this, you've got to remember though, this is for now for the second player. All right. So if we call this guy Ronnie Ronaldo, there we go. And then we go to the database and we apply the filter again. There we go. We can now see that we've got Cristiano Ronaldo again, but I don't know why he's not called him Ronnie. We do know it's the unique ID because the one began with 7. So let me just have a look at that again. Oh yeah, because it's his common name. So if we call it in there, Ronnie Ronaldo, and again, no need to change. There we go. He's changed already. I thought I'd have had to do a new search, but so that's basically how you duplicate a player, and you can have lots of fun with this if you're interested in FM experiments. You know, you could make a full team of Messi if you want, and even in the goal, whatever you want. And you can also do multi-edit as well. So you can now click both of these. So all I did then was do a control click and just click on the names. And if you now go and edit here, you can see we've lost the fields for first name and common name because they're anything that's different in each player. He just leaves that blank. But because we had Bob in the middle, that's the same. So if we call his common name now, let me see, we'll call it Twin Ronaldo. It means they should both be called Twin Ronaldo now for the common name. There we go. So they've both been called Twin Ronaldo. So you get the idea. You can do lots and lots of stuff with this. Okay, so that's the players. If we go up to the competitions, this is even more fun. This is where I get my real pleasure, just reordering competitions. There is something important to remember with competitions. It also includes divisions and cups and everything else. But there is something important to remember, and that is that the competitions are rooted in that nation. They are live for that nation, and we call that active. They're not extinct, and they are active. And if I'll just show you what I mean. If I call up the Premier League, do that now, it'll give us loads of Premier Divisions. Now what you can do, if you don't get it at the top here straight away and you are after the Premier League, see I've done this before so I'm used to it, just type in Premier, of course, pulls up Russian, Portuguese, etc. But if you put reputation, and you can sort it by reputation, it will pull the Premier up because we've got the best reputation in the world. And it's worth talking about this now. Reputation is the ordering system that SI use to give you a hierarchy of leagues throughout the world and players throughout the world. People through everything is rated on a hierarchy, the hierarchy of reputation. So, for example, if you created a club with 0 reputation, you will not get any players to come to you. No one will want to go there. It's very realistic. So underneath, players are looking at that score, and you can increase your reputation, of course, but you mustn't start with 0 reputation with the club because you get, unless you just want a really difficult time of it, just playing with the players you've already got there. So yeah, quite often what people do in edited leagues is if they put a team who is right in non-league, say, and they suddenly lift them into the conference, in order for them to function, to make it viable, you have to increase the reputation because you'll just die straight away. You just won't get anywhere. I've done this I put Corinthian casuals in my mini leagues, and I had to increase their reputation and also make them semi-pro because he was amateur at the time, just to give them a bit of a crack at it. Okay, so let's have a look. So if you make this Premier Division, like I say, they are rooted in that league. They are live in England at the moment. It says, is extinct? No, and this is quite crucial, this. So if I double click on this again to open the card system, as I said before, and what you can choose to do now is you can alter all this stuff. We'll worry about that in a second. But if you choose extinct now, then that won't be live. So that's gone. The Premier League has now gone. Now you will have problems now because the Championship will try to promote. The rule is still saying that the Championship should try to promote. He's trying to promote into the Premiership, which doesn't exist. I'll just try it actually. You can test the rules at any time. Oh, because I've not done nation rules now, so you need to add something called nation rules. We'll do that in a moment. But yeah, normally if you've got your nation rules open and you made it extinct and you press that, it'll say that the Championship has got nobody to be promoted into. No division, sorry. So there we go. So the same way, I'm going to make it back to normal again. The same way you can alter a player, you can alter the division. So you can give it different levels. If you wanted to move the Prem down, I know a couple of people have done that. They've done things like flip leagues. You can do all that sort of stuff. This competition level here, of course, it's the first division, and it's self-explanatory. That's a good thing about this. You get lots of help boxes. Which tier of the pyramid does the competition fall into? 1 indicates the top level, 20 represents the bottom. Okay, so that's the competition. I'm not going to go worry too much about that now because this is just a general overview. But if you go into database again now, you've also got things like your continents, currencies, derbies. Now, derbies are quite nice. So what you get here is, if we put, I think it might be in as a Merseyside derby. Yeah, there we go. So we've got Everton and Liverpool, and this gives you a card just for the derby. Now this is where when you're playing the game, it actually comes up saying it's a derby. So you can play around with this if you want. You can have local derbies, you can have all sorts of things like this. And this actually is probably a good point to go into clubs. So let's go into clubs, because what I'm just thinking is there is a rivals section where you can specify even more. So you can see we've got lots of Liverpools here. Liverpool to Man City, video, I like that. But because I've got it set to sort by reputation, Liverpool's come to the top again using that reputation. So we click on Liverpool. Yep. So if we go to relationships, is it rival clubs? There we go. So if you wanted to set up more derbies, you could do. I'm not sure if in the game, I don't think it would it? In the game, it wouldn't come up as a derby because, of course, the official derby is the Everton one, and that was stated in the database. But yeah, you can make it more realistic. I love that. I've not touched this. It says clubs don't transfer players between United and Liverpool. It's quite interesting, that one for Gary Neville. So yeah, so let's have a look at the club now that we're in here, seeing as though we're giving you this little review. So we've got details. Of course, you can change all sorts of things. You've got reserve teams, you've got the ownership, you can even change the stadium as well. You can change the finances. So if you fancy doing, you know, what if a conference side had $1 billion, this is where you do that. And all sorts of things like that, really. Affiliations with other clubs. It talks about whether they're a feeder club and things like that. Normal affiliated club, you can have feeder team, etc, etc. So really you can play with this as much as you like, just to get your design right. So I think we'll call it the first episode done for now. I really just wanted to give you a general introduction into using the database and just getting this idea across that the database is an undercurrent to the whatever changes you're going to make. That's your base there. Well, of course it is, the information base, isn't it? So so there you go. I think in the next one we'll come back for another episode. We'll just have a look at maybe creating a little mini, or maybe I'm not sure. We'll have a little think about that, but I shall see you soon. If you like this, please drop a like. If you double liked it, please subscribe, and I look forward to hearing your comments about this video. I hope it's useful for you. Thank you very much.